The scariest. How about that? He's not so scary, is he? No. I call him Circus Bear. He had come out of his den, found a bison carcass, finished that carcass, probably with the help of maybe other bears and wolves, who knows, it was a few days. He proceeded to pick up the spine of the bison and twirl it around and toss it like he was playing with, like a dog playing with a bone. And then he did this goofy thing. He's like holding on and rocking. Bears are so fun to watch play. And when you watch a grizzly bear, he's a few hundred pounds. When you watch them do that, it's just great fun. We've got a couple of ravens there, so you know there's a carcass still. They're still picking at the end of it. And that coyote is saying, oh, dude, will you just leave so I can get one more bone? So not so scary when they look like that, but how about that? That's a little different. It's a little different. They're very vocal at that point. They are growling. They are yelling at each other. They're even fighting when they've got a carcass. So pretty exciting when we've got one on the valley floor like that. Remember, folks, that I am working through a spotting scope and a phone. So any images that you see, any videos you see, are from 50 yards to 2 miles away. Okay? Ethical guiding. That's what we do. So I'm not a photographer. I take memory photos, and I am extremely, extremely high with my standards in terms of not encroaching on animal space. It's so important. So, beautiful grizzly mama with her baby. Grizzly bears are named, or called grizzlies, because of the grizzled fur at the ends. You can see that a little bit. This picture isn't so easy. So they're not called grizzlies because they're scary. They're called grizzlies because of those ends of their fur. In Yellowstone, we have about 200 grizzly bears and about 1,000 black bears. So I'll talk about black bears too, make sure. So they come in any and all colors. So it can be a little bit confusing when you see, first of all, this guy. That is an obvious grizzly bear to me. He's got a hump. See that hump? That is one of the distinctions between a grizzly bear and a black bear. But then look at this guy. You might not know if you didn't know, right? That is a cinnamon black bear. You can see he doesn't have a hump, but if you saw him from a distance, you might not be able to tell the difference. So grizzly bears come in any and all colors, as do black bears. So the species is black bear, but we will frequently say cinnamon black, chocolate black, blonde black. And mamas can have different colored babies too. So those colors adaptations are really fun to see. Speaking of babies, okay, we've got one black and one brown. Can you see that? One of the few times that I've heard a black bear loudly was when I was with a group in the vehicle, and the windows are down, and we're coming up around a corner, and I hear this barking sound. What is that? Doesn't sound like a canid. And I look over, and there's a black bear mama. She's looking up in a tree at her 2 babies that were young. They were probably only 10 pounds or so. So they're called cubs of the year. And they won't come down. And they are crying and whining and looking down, and she's barking at them. They will not come down. We watched it for a few minutes, and then it got to the point where people started to show up, and it was time to go. So I don't know if she went up and got them, or if they made their way down slowly, but whatever it was, that happens with black bears frequently. And black bears, by the way, are the ones who climb. They have the short claws, the curved claws, that allow them to shimmy up trees. Grizzly bears do not. Grizzly bears have flat, long claws for digging. It's also why they have that hump. That's a hump of muscle for them to dig, to flip boulders. So those are a couple of the distinguishing factors of a young cub. So this cub is looking at us, looking at him, basically. So, very cute picture. Now, is it good to have a standing bear or a bear on all fours? Standing bear. Hollywood got it wrong, as it usually does. So, if we were hiking in Yellowstone and we saw a grizzly bear standing up, that would be a good thing. They don't have great eyesight. So when they're standing up, they are assessing the situation. They're listening and they're smelling. They're trying to figure out if we are a danger. If they are down on all fours, they can come at you. So better to see them standing than down. Quick video here. Sorry about that. It's a little too quick. It's a mama, cinnamon mama, with one cinnamon baby and one black colored. And I know that's really fast. Oh, I love this beauty. So this bear was about this big, and we were taking a walk on a trail, and you can see that, what is this, guys? Black bear, right? Black bear. You can tell by the snout. The snout is longer. He's got longer ears, pointed ears. No hump, but he's also quite small. But what was funny about this is there were people running and yelling, "Grizzly bear." Now, I don't want to be patronizing or anything, but this was a tiny little cinnamon black bear. So it can be funny listening to visitors in Yellowstone too. But that's a beautiful spring day. The flowers are out, and these are some pretty big tracks of a grizzly bear. One of the things you need to know is the difference between the two when you're hiking. So this is actually a really fun story. By the way, they were about this big. I had a couple who had just had this big fancy wedding in Newport, Rhode Island. They were from Connecticut. And they had hired me a year out to do a really good hike. So I took them on my favorite hike where you don't see people. It's a little dangerous. Lots of water we had to go through. It was really fun. We're 11 miles in on a 12-mile hike. And this is what we see. It's August. It's berry season. Suddenly we go from an open trail to a really narrow trail with lush berry bushes on either side. Now, I don't have many uh-oh moments because I've studied these animals and I'm not really afraid. I'm much more afraid of swimming off the Cape Cod. Not so much the grizzly bears. So I say to the kids, they're in their 20s, bear spray ready, start making noise. Of course, prior to hiking, I had given them a talk. I had taught them everything that they needed to know, the what ifs. So, okay, so now we're singing and clapping, making noise, and we go just about 20 yards. All of a sudden, a big pile of berry full scat. And it was still steaming. That bear was still there. And that is when I actually had one of those moments. And I said, okay guys, now bear spray in hand. And we're gonna make a lot of noise. I remember that day very well. There was no wind, which is a good thing. And there was no ambient noise, so no water. Because if you are around water or if there's wind, two other factors to be considering hiking in grizzly country. You better be aware, you better know how to use your voice. So if you've got white water, for instance, you're not just gonna go, oh, bear, bear. No, you're gonna do, woo, you're gonna make all these different noises so that bear can hear you. Anyway, I got off here. This day, we didn't have any other noise. We didn't have wind. So it was just about us. And every time we went around a corner, I'd actually go before them. And again, it was a little harrowing. We made it that 1 mile, obviously, or else I wouldn't be here to tell a story. But it was very exciting. We never saw the bear. We just saw the tracks and we saw his poop. Black bear. So take a look at his face. That was fantastic. Looked up, that was actually in September. Looked up into a tree and there he was.
Hang on a limb like that.
Our black bears are almost dog-like. Actually, all black bears, but they're almost dog-like. So when we look at them, we see that longer snout. You can't see his ears very well, but they're a lot bigger. Beautiful little guy just hanging out. And a cinnamon, look at him. My client says to me, Audra, there's something hanging in that tree, but I'm too embarrassed if we turn around and it's nothing. We turn around and it's this cinnamon. Look at, he's hiding his face. Look at his little paws hanging out. So he's way up high, taking a nap. So that's what Yellowstone gives. You just drive around, you see stuff like this. Where else do you get that? It's a remarkable place. Oh. And this one, baby bear. So that's a cub of the year. Mom and sibling were down below, and the bear was just trying to get comfy. And so baby bear is pretty incredible. Oh, so when was that baby born?
Really?
February, while Mom was sleeping.
Oh, wow.
How about that?
Oh,
Right through it.
So their courtship, their mating season is May through July, and a courtship is a lot of fun. It's 3 to 5 days of napping, fighting, playing, and mating. And when there's a courtship happening, we're all telling each other, courting bears at so-and-so, courting bears, we all want to see it. So they have delayed implantation. Not many mammals do. We have a few. Or I should say animals in general. But bears have delayed implantation. So they have fertilized floating embryos. They will not implant unless that mother bear or that prospective mother bear is healthy enough and has gained enough weight. And that's in November. So she goes the entire summer and fall. They are complete eating machines, by the way. They're opportunistic omnivores. Anything goes, from mushrooms to berries to carrion, bugs. Because they don't eat a lot of fish in Yellowstone, they're actually not very big. So we have an ecological imbalance of trout. So the bears don't actually get to eat the fish that they used to. So they're a lot smaller than coastal bears. So let me get back. So opportunistic omnivores, they're eating machines. They're going to try to gain 1/3 of their body weight before they den up. And then if they are healthy, they gain that weight, then they're going to implant in November. They're going to give birth in February while they're in that state of torpor, which is like a sleep state. They're not completely, they're hibernators, but they're not like some of the hibernators that we might know, like squirrels. So a little bit different. So they give birth to these 1-pound babies, the size of a Coke can. They are hairless. They can't see. All they need to do is make their way up mama's belly fur and latch on and nurse and sleep for the next few months until they've gained 8 to 12 pounds to safely go out of the den with their mother, who has to protect them from absolutely everything, including her own species. Because boars, male bears, actually will kill cubs. We're not sure if it's territorial or just to put the mothers back into estrus. We're actually having this conversation lately. Regardless, they will kill babies. So when we say things like, oh, mama bear, there's a reason. Because mama bears have to be really diligent about caring for those babies. You know what else they do? Oh, hold on, gotta go back to the den. Okay, they don't just have babies in the den. They also, of course, they're not going to the bathroom, they're not urinating, defecating, they're not eating or drinking. But what they're doing is they're recycling their urine, breaking it down into proteins. Their kidneys are amazing. So they're breaking it down into proteins that feed the lean muscle mass so that when they come out of the dens, they're not Gumby. So if we were to go into that state, we would lose a lot of lean muscle mass along with a little fat. So they're losing fat, they're keeping that lean muscle. They're about 300 pounds having 1-pound babies. Anybody envious? No? Ladies, imagine, we have 6 to 10 pounders and we weigh half of what they weigh.
wow, intriguing.
You could look at that face and think of every toy store in America.
Yes,
Does he look like the
seriously.
perfect teddy bear?
Totally.
That's a Grizz. That's a young Grizz. And, oh, horrible video, but my gosh, look at this mama. She's rolling around. She's playing with her cub. There were cars going by, so it was kind of a difficult. But, oh my gosh. Again, we watch them not only
Precious.
do things like this, but they will literally grab their cubs and roll around. They will slide down the snow. So they typically are denned up really high up, and we'll take a spotting scope and watch them a couple miles away up high when they come out and they actually slide down snow and play in it. So lots of fun. I have to set you up for the next 2 slides. Every spring, the male bears are the first bears out. And like I said, they've lost a third of their body weight. They're in what's called walking torpor, so like a sleepwalking state. They haven't eaten, they haven't gone to the bathroom, so they're starving and they're constipated. They don't have the energy to go hunting. They don't necessarily want to steal from wolves. That's a lot of work too. There's no vegetation because at that time Yellowstone is still under snow and ice. So what are they going to do? They're going to come down the hills from their dens with their noses up, and they can smell about 2,000 times better than we can. They're going to smell carcasses that have fallen into water. And there's one particular spot where the bison fall in every fall. And it's sad because they can't get out, so they drown. But it's good for the bears. For lack of better terminology, the carcasses are nicely marinated. So it's somewhat easy for those bears to digest. But what they have to do first is pinpoint where those carcasses are, jump in the water, and with the last bit of energy, drag it out onto the shoreline. And then they're going to eat and sleep on top of that carcass for days, like a bear rug. The only way they're getting up off of that first meal is if a bigger bear comes along, or if the wolves come after them too much. They get sick of it and they go back up to their den for a bit. These next 2 slides are, however, of somebody else who came down. And this was May. Look at her, dragging that possibly 1,000, 1,200 pound carcass out with her 2 15-month-old babies. At one point they were standing on her rump and yelling, just egging mom on, saying, "Come on, mom, get that thing out, come on." It was fantastic, just fantastic. So we don't usually see sows and cubs do this. So what I can imagine, and I had gotten there late that year, so I missed April's time when the big boys come out. What I can imagine is that the boars had already gone through the process, gotten all the carcasses that they could, and then it was her turn. So she does all this work. Look at her. She's working hard.
He should have helped.
And now, well, now just watch. And then, what the 2 of them do now, watch this. "Hey, Mom, we want a drink."
Oh.
Is that so beautiful?
God.
So she sits back and she nurses them.
So precious.
After all that work she did, they then say, "Thanks, Mom, but we want a drink."
Looks like she's smiling.
Isn't that beautiful?
I can see a smile.
Look at her pucker.
Oh,
Buzz.
great.
So when I am in this particular spot, sometimes I literally have Nat Geo, Discovery Channel, famous videographers, photographers right next to me. So these are images that you can find on YouTube and you can see on TV. It's a very famous spot called Blacktail Ponds. So love that. I also, one of the things I just have to say real quick, I couldn't help myself. I love camouflage. Look at this.
Oh, yes.
Look at that.
Sure.
Look at those perfect babies and the straw grass around there. So camouflage is something that we study that's absolutely fascinating too. Okay, we're going to say bye to bears.
Aww.
Okay.
Great
bye to
picture to
those
say
bears.
goodbye with.
I know.
Yes.